The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the Aftermath show. 2 weeks in a row we're doing this. I did it last week. I've done these shows in the past. You guys like these. You guys like these little Sunday evening / night recaps. So I'm gonna go with it for a little bit and see what kind of response it gets. But it's good to be here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. It is currently 7:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're here to talk some boxing. I'm gonna kind of recap what happened yesterday, talk about some things that have transpired since the fight, and what do these fights? What does Janibek, the aftermath of his poor performance against Denzel Bentley, mean for his career, as well as Denzel Bentley? What does Montana Love's loss to Stevie Spark mean for his career? There's definitely a lot to discuss, as well as some things that transpired and took place on some of these undercards. So definitely going to be a good show today. But shout out to everybody out there in the world. If you're watching this live, smash the like button. If you're watching the playback, smash the like button, because these likes obviously help they help the algorithms, they help the channel do well, and it costs nothing. It takes a second of your time. So please do that. Please go ahead and do that. But let's take some time before we get in and before we start cooking and before we start talking that world-class boxing talk, that creme de la creme, top shelf boxing talk. Let's acknowledge a couple people in here right now. For the other people in here, feel free to drop a comment and I'll definitely get to you. But we got our first comment right here from my main man, Jesus M. He says, "Saludos BT, Janibek, who's next?" That's a great question, man. Personally, I'm gonna rescore the Denzel Bentley fight tomorrow, but I feel like if he can't get opponents, I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch, to be honest with you, but we're probably not gonna get that. So I would anticipate maybe Felix Cash. He fought Denzel Bentley. He was on Twitter calling him out today, which we'll get to later on. So I would like that fight. That'd be a good fight. My main man, 50 grand. That's right, Michael Betty. Shout out to you. One of my favorites. Thank you for being here, as you always are. You're everywhere, man. Every video I post, I always see Michael Mann in there. So it's always good to see you in the comment section, man. Good to see you. Kevin Effect, the Untouchable. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hope all is well with you. Chase Athletics, Philadelphia. Philadelphia's very own Chase Athletics, the Untouchable. Yes, sir. The Untouchable True School Sports Empire. We here, man. Hope everybody's good. Were you impressed with Emiliano? Absolutely. Well, I'll definitely camp on that. I'll camp out more on that later on. But yeah, I thought a lot of the things I've been hearing about Emiliano for the last 2 years from my people in Vegas, from people here in South Florida when he was here doing camp for sparring, a lot of it was true. Very fast, very agile, very speedy, can box, can punch, has a lot of tools that I feel like boxing fans should be excited about. So yeah, definitely, and seems to be a level-headed young man. We'll see if it stays that way, because they're always level-headed in the beginning, but then when these young fighters get a couple knockouts and people give him a couple of years for everyone saying he's great and getting some highlights on ESPN, and then we'll see if he's still level-headed. But so far so good. I can't really say too much. I can't really criticize too much. He's doing his damn thing. But yeah, with that being said, now that we got our pleasantries out the way here on True School Sports, let's get right into it, man. So the aftermath of Janibek versus Denzel Bentley. We'll start there. We'll start with Janibek and Denzel Bentley, and then we'll work our way to Montana Love, and then from there we'll work our way down to the undercard fights and things like that. But Janibek, to say it wasn't impressive would be a massive understatement. Janibek looked very beatable last night, as many fighters do. He looked very, very much like, if you want to really go all the way extreme, he looked like a hype job. Got exposed. Some things were exposed. Some things that he needs to work on were definitely revealed last night against Denzel Bentley. I think like a lot of Eastern Bloc fighters, sometimes they're so regimented and they're so fundamentally sound that it can become they can become very predictable in their attack. So I think the plan now for Buddy McGirt is to go to the gym and try to make Janibek a little bit more or less predictable in his attack, mix some things up, and it'll be a fight. It'll be I think a good thing for Janibek, because he doesn't strike me as a guy who doesn't work hard. He doesn't strike me as a prima donna. I think he'll go to the gym and work hard. We'll see how it all develops, But Denzel Bentley, his stock rises up now, and now all of a sudden, in what I truly believe is a historically very bad middleweight division right now, I think Denzel Bentley has emerged. He's emerged as a contender in the division, and God bless him. I want to see him in some fights moving forward. I feel like last night's performance against Janibek will definitely get him some calls for notable fights. And guess what? We're gonna be very, very intrigued here on True School Sports to see what Denzel Bentley does next, because when you go out there and you fight like that against a guy that, a lot of the upper echelon top guys didn't want to fight for whatever the case may be, and you go out there and you perform like that, you deserve every bit of credit. So yeah. Kevin Effect says, shout out to Denzel Bentley. He says, shout out to Denzel Bentley. I still can't believe he lasted 12 rounds and he put in some work at time. He did. He won some rounds. I'm not sure how many rounds he won. I mean, I was kind of just going crazy, so I was in my right mind watching the fight. But I'm going to sit down and rewatch the fight tomorrow and rescore and see how many rounds he won. But he definitely gave a great account of himself, and it wasn't a bad performance at all. So I'm happy for him. Matthew Boone says, good shit on Bentley, but do you think Janibek wasn't taking that fight so soon, or that he wasn't prepared? I think Janibek had the problem last time with Bentley that a lot of fighters get when they're getting knockouts over and over again. We've seen it. We've seen it with some great fighters. These guys, that have good boxing skills, but then they start getting a couple knockouts, and then all of a sudden they fall in love with their power. And then after falling in love with their power for a little bit, they go ahead and they think they're a knockout artist. They believe their own press clippings, and they think everyone's going to get knocked out. So I think because of Bentley's durability, this is actually a good reminder to Janibek that for every 5 or 6 people you can knock out, there's a guy out there. And it don't necessarily have to be a top fighter, but there's a guy out there that can take your power, that has the heart, the will, determinations, and the skills to frustrate you, make you fight, put you on the back foot, and make you have to do some things maybe you don't want to do. So it's just a good. It's better now that Janibek gets this reality check right now than he get it, like, let's say, in a championship fight. Because if he fought a championship caliber fighter, a better fighter, then he might have lost last night. But he fought a guy that, maybe Bentley was better than we thought he was. We don't know. Only time will tell. But definitely a good reminder for him. You got that belt handed to you on supposed fear, and then Bentley crashed you right back to earth. And I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that because listen, some guys maybe didn't want to fight him, but listen, not everybody's afraid of him. There's always somebody out there that's just dumb enough to not believe the hype. And Denzel Bentley was just dumb enough, just skilled enough, and he had the belief, the determination to go full force with Janibek and take him to those deep, dark, uncomfortable places. So, yeah, man. But let's get into some things that happen on social media, man. I want to show you guys some things and get you guys up to speed on some things that are being said about Janibek after the fight. So just some things that I found interesting, that I found intriguing. So make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, definitely super chat. True School Sports, the Untouchable, we in here, man. The Aftermath show, Sunday night, Sunday evening, But anyway, Felix Cash, this is a guy that we discussed a little bit during the live last night because, as many of us know, Felix Cash fought Denzel Bentley a couple years ago, and that fight that Bentley had with Felix Cash was a big, big reason why a lot of us, myself included, didn't really give Bentley much of a chance, because the line of thinking was, and you shouldn't think this way, you should always kind of like watch the tape and try to see, both fighters' strengths, weaknesses. But this happens to boxing fans and people like myself. We thought because Felix Cash struggled at British level, and he had been found out and obliterated in 3 rounds by Felix Cash, that he had no chance against Janibek. Now, we were proven wrong, and now Felix Cash said he's had enough. He said he's done. He's had enough of this shit. So he said, I've had enough of this shit. Eddie Hearn, Janibek, sort this out. So Felix Cash is calling out Janibek. Janibek had a problem with the guy he knocked out in 3 rounds. He's getting confidence off that, and he want to fight him. He wants some smoke. So there you have it. Felix Cash, I mean, if anybody's stock rose last night, apart from Bentley, it had to be Cash, right? Because Cash knocked him out in like 3 rounds. So Listen, Cash has kind of been much like Bentley, maybe on a bit of on a higher level because he beat him. He's a fringe world level fighter, high level British fighter. Has had some lackluster performances here and there. I would like this fight. I think Janibek versus Felix Cash would be an absolutely amazing fight because, the thing with Bentley is Bentley's a bit awkward. Bentley likes to shift a lot. Bentley's kind of weights and counter punches more as to where, Felix Cash, definitely has, I would say, good, sharp, straight right hand. Very well schooled, boxes very well, deeper amateur pedigree. It's a really interesting fight. And right now, like, look, if we can say a quick look, guys, like, let's just look at the middleweight division, right? These are the middleweight rankings. You guys tell me where do you think we can find a good, realistic fight for Janibek? Because we're not getting Charlo, we're not getting Golovkin, we're not getting Lara. All right, so you go down the WBO rankings. Okay, he's not fighting Jaime Munguia because Jaime Munguia is fighting this next weekend against the dude Gonzalo Correa that Janibek already knocked out. Okay, he's not going to fight Eubank because they just announced that Eubank's probably going to fight Liam Smith next, so that's not going to happen. All right, now I can't really speak much about Miriam Nurmagomedov because I don't know about him. But after that, Felix Cash is sitting pretty right there, ranked at number 4. So it's a fight that makes sense. He's calling for the fight, and I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it. I think it's an easy fight to make. I think Felix Cash will take the fight. I think he come to America to take the fight. And I think, if Janibek don't go to the gym and make some adjustments, and I mean quickly and swiftly, I think Felix Cash can really give Janibek a tough fight. Even without this fight, I think Felix Cash, just the way he fights, his style, that jab, the variations of the jab, the speed he has, the power he's got. He's got some things in his style that could give Janibek some problems. So I would absolutely love this fight. But yeah, Felix Cash is calling out Janibek. As far as Janibek's concerned, one thing I do want to add too, though, that people kind of are overlooking about Janibek, right? Because last night for Denzel Bentley, that was the first time he went past 10 rounds. But it was also the first time Janibek went past 10 rounds. And he got to the 12th round, and I would say for probably about 75% of that round, he had Denzel Bentley on Queer Street, hitting him with straight left hands. And Denzel Bentley had to really dig deep to survive. He had to dig deep to survive. So he showed he can be dangerous to 12 rounds. He's got to make a couple little tweaks, and it'll be all right. But, Felix Cash versus Janibek, that's a good fight. It's realistic. And I say why not? I say absolutely why not, But anyway, moving on to the next tweet. Now, this was tweeted by my main man, Chris Glover. Shout out to Chris Glover, from Pro Box Promotions, one of the best people I know in boxing. He made a good point here, and I want to see what you guys think about it. But he said on Twitter, Usyk didn't look good against Chisora. GGG didn't look good against Jacobs. Bivol didn't exactly light the world on fire against Craig Richards. My theory is that Eastern Bloc fighters occasionally don't push through the gears to lure the cash cows into a fight. Tonight's example would be Janibek. Now, I never thought about this, and I think this is actually a good point because let's be real. Y'all know boxing. If you're watching my channel, you guys know boxing. Usyk looked like trash against Chisora, and I remember everyone was – the way everybody's talking about Janibek now, they were saying that about Usyk back then. Now, obviously, Usyk is a better fighter than Janibek. He was more accomplished than Janibek, but same thing. Bivol looked pretty pedestrian against Craig Richards. So it's something to think about. Maybe sometimes these Eastern Bloc fighters, they don't want to push the gears. I don't know, but it's definitely food for thought and things to marinate on. So what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below on that because sometimes, listen, I wouldn't even say it's an Eastern Bloc fighters thing. I would say that's a problem for fighters in general. A lot of fighters in boxing, point blank, period. It don't matter what nationality or ethnicity they come from. Like, it's only a handful of guys in boxing that fight by fight, their performance is always here. That's what makes the guys like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao and Roman Gonzalez and these kind of guys so special is because they've barely ever drop off in performance. Regardless if they win, lose, or draw, their performances are always like pretty high, but that those guys are outliers. Most of the rest of boxing normally fights up and down to the level of competition, and it looks like much like Usyk in the past, much like Golovkin in the past, Bivol in the past. Although I'll say a Bivol, that was a one-off. That was an outlier for him. He was coming off a long layoff. Richards was kind of awkward, athletic, long, rangy guy in the weight class, coming off a career best win against Shakan Pitter. So that's an outlier, but pretty much Bivol is normally pretty consistent too. But yeah, most guys fight up and down to the level of competition, generally speaking, in boxing. So yeah, there's that. And then I'm gonna go through like three more tweets, and then I'm gonna run through these comments because I see we got some pretty interesting comments. Shout out to I see you, Mark Christopher Atkins. I see you on Unadulterated Truth. MAW's in the building. King G's in the building. Okay, we got some good people in the building. And then Janibek, right? We got Janibek right here. Or the Twitter account that Janibek. I don't actually think Janibek tweets any of this shit. I personally think Egis Klimas tweets all this stuff. I don't think any of this is Janibek. That's just me. Janibek says it's good for the fans if I get a knockout in the first round, but it's good for me if the opponent doesn't get knocked out in the first round. You gain experience every round. 12 rounds was a great experience for me. We will need it for the next fights. And you know what? Listen, I mean, normally I would say he's not wrong. I would actually be on Janibek's side. But the reason why I'm not going to really buy any of this bullshit is because before the fight, Janibek literally said he was going to put Denzel Bentley on a stretcher and in a hospital. He literally said that on Twitter, and then he deleted the tweet. But I remember he did say it. And look, he's not wrong, but you can't sit here against a guy that you were this prohibited favor against, or your representative to say this on your behalf. You can't do that. All right, you didn't perform. You got to get better. And his next fight, he's got to come out and really make a statement, because now, at least I would hope, right? Now, I would be led to believe that more guys in the middleweight divisions are going to be licking their chops to fight Janibek. So Felix Cash has already called him out. And a lot of guys have called him out. You know, Bob Santos, as Kevin Effect has watched that video. Bob Santos said on Broadway Joel's channel, shout out to Broadway Joel, go subscribe to him. Bob Santos said that Carlos Adames will beat the shit out of Janibek. And he pretty much said that also, like, the matchmakers at Top Rank, Brad Goodman, whom he's friends with, knows to not put Janibek in there with a guy like Carlos Adames, because then Carlos Adames will starch him. Now, I like Carlos Adames, and I've always rated him highly, but he's an inconsistent fighter. So right now, based on past fights, you probably go with Adames if you're going to go on past fights. But that's not how I judge fighters. But we'll see. He had an off night. He won. He was dangerous for 12 rounds. There were chicks in the armor. We'll see how he comes back. But yeah, you can't come out. You can't say you were going to put your opponent on a stretcher and then say, all of a sudden, I need the 12 rounds. Come on, man. Keep that same energy. Let me see. And then Janibek followed up, right? So Janibek follows it up, and then he said, all champions have saw and heard my 12 rounds. I hope they don't avoid me now. Earlier, everyone was afraid of being knocked out. Now they have the hope of not getting knocked out. For them, I have something. So there you have it. It sounds like Janibek is trying to insinuate here pretty much that maybe he had an off night, maybe by design. I doubt that, but listen, he's got a point. This is where I do agree with him. He's got a point. Okay, and it kind of goes to the same thing I say about my guy Filip Hrgovic, who did have the best fight, his last fight against Zhang. Now that they look pedestrian and now that they look human, step up. Denzel Bentley, he went in there, he stepped to the plate, he pretty much shed the label of the boogeyman, and he took the fight to him. Now it's up to guys like Felix Cash to step up. Falcao, Charlo, Adames, whomever. Bob Arum was flapping his gums, talking all this stuff about during fight week that he's prepared to pay the champions big purses to fights. Well, let's see him keep that same energy, because I know Bob knows boxing, and I don't know if Bob doesn't want to do that right now. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll definitely be holding Bob to his words and seeing what he's gonna do. But yeah, it's time to step up. Like this middleweight division is like, look, let's look through it. I want you guys to see it on the screen so you guys just don't hear me sound like I'm hating. This middleweight division from top to bottom is a historically bad division. Historically bad. Golovkin is still, you could argue, the #1 middleweight in the world. Jamal Charlo is semi-retired at this point. Johnny Beck's out here struggling with British champions. I mean, it's really, really not looking so good with for the division. You got faded guys like Sergey Derevchenko kind of lying around, hanging in the weeds. You got Sergio Martinez, who's like almost 50 years old, ranked top 4 in the WBA. I mean, it is really, really in a bad place, this 160-pound division. But I'm gonna tell you guys this guy right here, this Fedor dude right here. Watch out for him. He's pretty good. Watch out for him. He might come up. He might come through the back door and make some noise in this trash ass division. But yeah, it's really. I mean, you guys tell me. Look through these middleweight rankings and tell me, where the hell do you see a great fighter anywhere? Now, I have no clue if what I'm seeing here. Is what I'm seeing here correct? I'm in the middleweight rankings. This is the WBA middleweight rankings. I don't know if you guys can see that name that I just highlighted at number 9. Is Danny Garcia really ranked number 9? Oh my God. I never. This can't be Danny Garcia that was a 147 pounder. This can't be Danny Garcia that fought Lamont Peterson. No way. Danny Garcia is a middleweight? How, Sway? So listen, if Danny Garcia is a ranked middleweight, that tells you everything you gotta know. Like that tells you everything. How on God's green earth is Danny Garcia ranked number 9? That's gotta be a typo. That's like Swift Sloan says. That's gotta be a typo. That's gotta be something that they made a mistake, because there's no way he's really ranked. But if he is, that tells you everything. Jason Rosario even backdoored his way to a ranking here. So this is a historically bad 160 division. And the way I see it, the division is wide open. It's there for the taking. I feel like Carlos Adames has a chance to really take this division over if he wants to. A very talented guy. He just needs to be disciplined. Golovkin is not going to fight Johnny Beck. Johnny Beck shouldn't fight Golovkin, because I'm not even sure if he would beat Golovkin even at this stage. To be honest with you, after what I saw last night, he still has some things to work on, but I believe he will come back better. But it's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Welcome to the Aftermath Show. We're here recapping yesterday's events and kind of giving our more subdued thoughts on it. But listen, on a more positive note, Denzel Bentley, too sharp, South London's very own. Deb Sahani tweeted, great performance from Denzel Bentley. He left his comforts and stared down the new middleweight boogeyman. Took his best shots, backed him several times, won rounds, ended the fight trading up. His stocks rises considerably, and he's also sent Johnny Beck's Twitter admin straight to hell. And he did. Absolutely he did. And to me, I cannot say it enough. I cannot be positive enough. This man right here has went out there and really showed us what it means to be a fighter, what it means to go out there and rise to the occasion. That term is thrown out there a lot in boxing, but how many times do we really see somebody make this kind of a jump and rise to the occasion and be a live dog in the fight? It's not a lot of guys that can do that, but Bentley did it, so he gets all our respect. And the question I think we should be asking, just fuck Johnny Beck for a second, who does Bentley fight next? That's the real question, because if Bentley wants to get another world title shot, right? We see right now Bentley's ranked number 9 in the WBA. That ranking will probably drop a little bit because he did lose, so he'll probably still stay in the top 15. But he's number 9 in the WBO. He's not ranked in the IBF, and he's not ranked in the WBA, and he's not ranked in the WBC. So he's only ranked in the WBO. So, I think there's some good fights out there from Bentley. I want to see him mix it up with, that Felix Cash. If Johnny Beck's not going to fight Felix Cash next, then I think at this juncture in time, I think a Felix Cash Denzel Bentley rematch would be very attractive, because Bentley's stocks are all-time high. Cash wants that fight, so the natural progression to get that fight, if he doesn't get it right away, would be for him to fight the guy who just fought Johnny Beck. And then that will also give Bentley the opportunity to prove that maybe he just had a really bad night against Felix Cash, and maybe he could beat him. We just don't know. But that's an option for him. You got Ryota Murata, who just lost his title recently. I don't know what his plans are, but that could be an option. Maybe Johnny Beck, or maybe Bentley fights Eubank in a great British class. Like, there's definitely names out there for him. But like I said, this division is absolutely trash. Really, really bad. Maybe this is probably the best guy right here that I think might have a chance to become champion. Fedor Chikushin. Fedor Chikushin, the guy that fought on the David Morrell undercard against Nathaniel Gallimore. Guy is really, really good, man. He reminds me a lot of Dimitri Pirog, the way he boxes. I think he's got a future in the division. But aside from him, it looks really bleak at 160. Just being honest. So let me see. So yeah, Dev Sahani, and then let me see, Michael Montero. Now shout out to Montero. Go subscribe to Montero Unboxing. Great channel. He's a YouTube vet. Congrats to him on his newborn child recently. God bless him. But he said the fact that so many were fast. Hold on, let me sound it out. The fact that so many were so fast to anoint Janibek as the new GGG just shows the impact Golovkin had. But so far, Kwazak Styles' career has mirrored Demetrius Andrade's more than Gennady Golovkin's. It's time to make concessions, get more active, and prioritize action. So he wants to go ahead and look, I'm with it. Like, Janibek doesn't speak English. He's got a fan base obviously, but it's not like gonna be like the Mexican or Latino fan base. So, I feel like he's gonna have to do some of those things, make concessions. If I was Janibek, I would start fighting as many of these guys in the top 15 as humanly possible, and do my best to, show that that was a bad night against Bentley, and that you still are what they say they are. But as far as him mirroring his career mirroring Andrade's, I don't know if I agree with that, because I think it's too early in the ball game for you to say his career is like Andrade's. Andrade had a slow progression as a prospect to champion. So I think I'll disagree with that part. But everything else, as far as him getting more active, as far as him, like prioritizing being in that ring more often, then yes, I would absolutely love to see him do that and become. I think the goal for him and Buddy McGirt in 2023 should be to become the most active middleweight in the division. Try to fight 3 to 4 times if you can in 2023. Because if you can do that, what's going to wind up happening is Johnny Beck will be able to get his timing in order, because that's the main thing. The main benefit a fighter gets from being active is their timing is at an all-time high when they're active. They're sharp, they're active, they're seeing punches. So that'll be good for him. Get him in there with some different looks, and as he fights more and as he gets more pro experience against different styles, then he'll be ready to show the world what he can do. So I think the Bentley fight, if Top Rank and Buddy McGirt and Janibek as a whole handle it right, it could wind up being the best thing that ever happened to him. But until then, the jury's out. We'll see. We'll see, man. But that's pretty much the tweets that I had and what I ran through. Let's get to some comments. All right. Let's get to some comments. We got a lot of people in here. I want to go ahead and acknowledge some of the fine folks that are in here. I know it took me a while to get my shit off, but we here, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you definitely subscribe and definitely super chat. Unadulterated Truth, he says, True School Sports, what's going on, bro? Tell Pops, aka the Boogeyman, I might not be that talented, but I can take his power and keep coming forward. Oh man, you heard it. You heard him, Pops. He's coming. Man, unadulterated truth. He's coming in the high guard. He's gonna put it on you, Pops. You better work on your pivoting and your reverse pivoting in your feints, because my man from Philadelphia, or I think he's in Philadelphia or New York, up north. He's not here to play games. He's not here to take part. He's here to take over. King G says he thinks Felix Cash beats Johnny Beck. Felix Cash, a good fighter. I actually think Felix Cash he's fought a little bit under his potential. So, he's definitely one of the wild cards of this division. That'd be a really good fight. Who's next for Sinisa? Sinisa Estrada, great fighter, great person, great fighter, beautiful woman. I think Sinisa Estrada will probably fight the winner of the unification fight in December featuring WBC, 108-pound champion Kim Clavel. She's taking on the Mexican Jessica Neri Planta. Kim Clavel is the favorite. She'll probably win. To me, that's the fight they got to make, because Kim Clavel is the only girl around her weights that I truly think with her skills could trouble Sinisa. Everyone else, like Esparza and Yocosta Vale, like these are good fighters that could definitely are worthy adversaries, but I'd pick Sinisa with no reservations at all. Kim Clavel is actually a fight where I think Sinisa could lose and get outboxed. You know, that's how good I think Kim Clavel is as a technical fighter. MAW, my man from the land down under, what's good, champ? He said, what I missed? You know, yesterday, pretty great day of boxing. Kevin Effect says, once you made that video about Janibek and Carlos Adames, I've been fixated on that fight. Such a banger. It is. And, you know, these guys, from what I've heard, I'm not going to get into it, but, like, I've heard they have some history because, you know, Vegas is pretty small and everybody spars everybody, gym to gym. And listen, that'd be a great fight. I'd like to see how Janibek deals with that, because Carlos Adames can box. Carlos Adames can punch. He can switch. You know, he's strong. The only thing about Carlos Adames is like, will Carlos Adames live the life enough and continue to, you know, be in shape? Because that's really been the biggest problem is living a life outside the ring. Michael Manning says, I was in complete shock and in awe when I read so many dumb what-ifs about Andre. All the guys, Andre, he had every chance in the world to make that fight. Yeah, listen, I'm not here to shit on Andre today. I spoke my piece on that. But like I said, we can't do what-ifs. Like, because if we want to do what-ifs, then, you know, if I was 6'9", you know, I would play power forward for the Charlotte Hornets. You know, if I would, you know, if I would have played, if I would have continued playing baseball my whole life, I'd be playing second base for the Marlins right now. You know, we can do what ifs all we want. You know, if I made the NBA, I'd dunk on LeBron James. We can do what ifs all we want, but at the end of the day, boxing, much like life, is a results-based business. So if you don't make the fights happen, then it's going to be, no matter how you want to rationalize it, it's always going to fall back on the fighters. Like, for example, on my wall right now, I got pictures of Riddick Bowe all over the wall. I love Riddick Bowe. Personal friend of the channel. Love Riddick Bowe. He's wrapped my hands. He's taught me things about boxing and fighting. I love Riddick Bowe, right? But no matter how much, because I truly do believe, like, it wasn't completely his fault that the Lennox Lewis fight didn't happen. But the reality is there's always that image in everybody's head of him dropping the belt in the trash can. So no matter how much I try to rationalize it, it always comes back to that. So it is what it is. You can't do what ifs. Mark Christopher Atkins, shout out to him, you know, for a pro fighter. You know, this is just so you guys know. This is my man Mark Christopher was the real deal. This is the man that took Shane Mosley Jr.'s O right here. Longtime viewer of the channel. Much respect to him. He says, hey, BT, do you still think Janibek could beat Boo Boo? I still think he'd have a chance against Boo Boo. Yeah, my opinion on that hasn't changed, but I've always said that Andre would beat Janibek. I don't know why everyone just hears me criticize Andre with the Janibek situation and they think that I'm picking Janibek. No, I've always said Andre would beat Janibek. That's why it pissed me the fuck off when he vacated the belt, because I thought he could beat him. And, you know, but he didn't think he could, so he didn't fight him. His opinion matters more than mine. Johnny Beck is looking like a paper champion right now. Yeah, right now he is. So we're gonna go ahead and see how things progress. Let me see. Swift Sloan says Andre would have watched Johnny Beck to move up. That would have been the ideal plan. That's what I was begging him to do. Defend that belt, shut the critics up, and then leverage yourself being on ESPN to go ahead and do whatever you want to do with the rest of your career. At least I would have given him his credit. I can't speak for everybody else, but I would have given him his credit. Sergio Martinez is as old as the pyramids. That he is, but you know what? He's old. He might mess around and become the WBA middleweight champion on accident. It might happen on accident, champ. So we just don't know. I still can't believe I still can't believe that whatchamacallit, Danny Garcia is actually ranked in the 160 rankings. That's kind of tripping me out. Like, I heard about him and Lara fighting, but I guess it just never registered in my head that they'd be fighting at 160. That's insane. Danny Garcia is definitely loving life and eating good. Johnny Beck, future top 5 pound for pound, says Johnny Beck is still one of the best on earth, and people did the same thing of Bivol and Richards. Shake my fucking head. They did. That's why, like, I'm not going crazy. You don't hear me saying Johnny Beck's a hype job, because I understand that fighters can have off nights. Andre, who I like, he's had off nights. A lot of guys have had off nights. So we'll see how it goes. You people don't know anything about boxing and consistently make yourself look silly. Janibek has been trying to make these fights. I don't know why people are pretending you don't know this. I mean, yeah, let me see. BT always keeps things real, but sometimes it's a bit fast to say exposed. Well, I only say exposed if I feel it's valid. Sometimes I'll troll, but most of the time when I say exposed, I'll say it is valid. And just because a fighter is exposed, it doesn't make them bad. Doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means that they had weaknesses that nobody had exploited before or in a long time. And now we saw that those weaknesses got exploited for the world to see. So that's what it basically means when I say exposed. In that regard, Janibek is exposed, but he's still undefeated. He still got the belt. He's still got a great trainer with him and Buddy McGirt. He can still come back better. And I don't think we should write him off just yet. Because people have stated early in the live, they did the same thing to Bivol. They did the same thing to Usyk. They did the same thing to a lot of fighters in boxing. So, you know what I'm saying? He won 9 to 11 rounds of the fight. No, he didn't. Stop that. I didn't score the fight, but he did not win no damn 9 to 11 rounds of that fight. Stop that. But, you love Janibek. So I can't knock you. This mental side has to be worked on. Even Better BF knows it's boxing first, not knockout. Bentley is not your sparring partner. Exactly. And that says that really says everything right there, right, Chase? Like, if Better BF, the man that, right now he's the knockout king. He's got a 100% knockout ratio. If he's like boxing first and then punching second, looking for knockout second, then that really tells you everything. Daniel Rubin, I see you in the comments. Shout out to Daniel Rubin. He says, does anyone, let me see, let me go to this comment. Want to definitely show my appreciation to my man Daniel. He says, does anybody have an update on A-Dose Alimkhanuly? I haven't heard any reporters talking about it since last week. Terrible. I haven't heard anything. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. The best thing anybody could probably do right now is hit up somebody from his team. It's a shame because, like, yeah, they say he went to the hospital, then they say he didn't. So does anybody know? Because I don't know. I haven't heard anything, and I'm always checking boxing news. I'm always checking Twitter, and I haven't seen nothing. So yeah, man. Chase says True School is family. Yes, sir. We here. West Philly through and through. Yes, sir. Philadelphia, stand up. Let me see. Jesus M wants to know, is Janibek carefully matched? I think that I wouldn't say he's carefully matched. He's fought decent. I mean, he's fought some live bodies. Like, he fought Bentley, who turned into a live body last night, although he wasn't expected to be. He fought Rob Brandt, who was a decent fighter. So I wouldn't say he's been carefully matched. You can't really say him or any top middleweight is being carefully matched because this division has no depth. It's one of the weakest divisions in boxing. It's a historically bad middleweight division. So I don't know. I don't know how anybody right now at middleweight could be carefully matched. There's only about probably 3 to 4 good fight, like great fights that could be made. Good fights. I wouldn't even say great. I would say top level good. Top level championship fights that can be made right now. There's not a whole lot of fights right now at middleweight that people are really clamoring for because the division is extremely thin. Where is the leverage that he would have had beating Janibek? And Meezy, I don't know if you watch, I mean, I know you watch boxing, but I'm saying, I don't know if you understand this, bro, but like, there is a thing in boxing called momentum, and being out of sight, being out of mind is a real thing. So, okay, maybe Janibek wouldn't have gotten him all the accolades he's been searching for his whole career, but at least it would have done is it would have got him on ESPN. He could have beat him. He could have debunked all that boogeyman narratives, all right? And then he would have at least had more people checking for him. Because right now, nobody's checking for him. And you and I both know that's the truth. Shame on you, True, for not covering the Fight of the Year candidate match. Oh, my God. You know what? I said I wasn't going to go live for it, but then I woke up kind of late, and then I was like, man, do I really want to go live for this? So I was like, man, let me just let me just edit some videos, and then I'll come live and do the aftermath show, and that's what we're doing. But yeah, I saw some of the highlights. It was pretty, it was entertainment. It was an exhibition. It was entertainment. I don't know what people expect. It's not supposed to be a real fight. But I did see that apparently Deji gave him a black eye, so maybe it was a real fight for like a moment or two. But yeah, let me see. Shout out to Hyro. We see you, champ. You see. He says, and boxing media would have still shitted on him his win, and it's true. Well, they might have, but listen, boxing media is gonna shit on almost anything. That's not the important thing. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think the right way to look at it would have been, okay, he's gonna stay active. He's gonna beat this guy that everyone's saying is this big killer, and more people are gonna see him than usual because Easy. When was the last time Andrade even fought on ESPN? You'd probably have to go all the way back in the days to when he was fighting on Friday night fights to figure out when he was on ESPN. So it's been a long time. But anyway, look, I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna pivot now, right? We beat Janibek Bentley like a dead horse. We're gonna close the book on it now on True School Sports. But now we're gonna talk about your boy Montana Love, Mr. Too Pretty, Mr. Crocodile Alligator Jacket, Mr. Cleveland, Ohio. He fought last night against Stevie Spark. It was a really crazy fight because Stevie Spark got thrown over the ropes like it was the Royal Rumble. It was like the Undertaker throwing motherfuckers over the top rope. It was crazy the way that fight ended. But Stevie Spark did drop him before that. Stevie Spark was giving him a great account of himself. And I think Montana Love has really let himself down in a major way. He had taken a long time to build his way up to this point in his career to where he's headlining a show in his hometown, and he got some good buzz out there in Cleveland. And I got to be honest, it was probably one of the worst performances a fighter's had in their own hometown in a while, probably since Josue Vargas got knocked out against Jose Cepeda. It's been a while. It's been a while since a fighter performed that bad. And I can't remember the last time a fighter fought in his hometown as the favorite and got disqualified in his own hometown. I can't think of a time. If y'all can think of a time, please let me know because I can't think of a time recently where that happened. But anyway, shout out to Rick Glazer. I gotta call him back soon. I know he wants to come on the live one of these days. So I might have Rick Glazer on tomorrow or Tuesday or sometime in the week. But he tweeted basically Montana Love was definitely looking for a way out. He was dropped, getting roughed up and hurt with heavy artillery by Stevie Spark looking so much bigger. Instead of Love going out on his shield, he bailed himself out by DQ. It was an intentional act so he could get DQ'd, and the ref knew it, so that's why they disqualified him. And yeah, Montana Love, he has not looked sensational at all since he fought Ivan Baranchyk. In my humble opinion, I like Montana Love, but I think the Ivan Baranchyk fight was the perfect style matchup for him. And on top of that, he caught Ivan Baranchyk at the perfect time. He had just fought the war of the millennium with Jose Cepeda, where there was what was it, 6 or 7 knockdowns? Shop one fighter. And I think that fight really flattered him. It made him look better than what he really was. The problems he had were there to see even in his wins. I can't remember the guy he fought, but he fought on the Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz undercard at the MGM Grand last year. And I was there. And I remember he dropped the guy early and then he kind of faded after 4 rounds. And he's always had this problem of being a front runner and fading and not looking so good in the middle rounds and later rounds. And I knew with a guy like Stevie Spark, who wasn't, who applies educated pressure, that does have a decent jab and a solid counter right hand, and is willing to employ those Jeff Horn tactics if he needs to and maul you. I knew it was going to be a fight that he didn't like because Montana Love, his nickname tells you what he is in the ring. Too pretty, aka a cutie, aka someone who likes to finesse their way to victory, so far as boxing on the outside and sticking and moving and things like that. But if you close a gap on a guy like him and hit him upside the head a couple of times, they don't know how to react. They don't react well to punches, hard punches. So, yeah, he looked for a way out. And, the way I see it, and moving on to the next tweet, the way I see it, shout out to Mexicans for Plant. I like that name, Mexicans for Plant. He says Montana Love did not want to get his ass beat in his hometown. Cut him and move on, Eddie. He's a D-class Adrian Broner. Now, I'm not going to get disrespectful, but there are some Adrian Broner tendencies with Montana Love. And no disrespect to Montana Love, but Adrian Broner, he is not, right? The only, he's just from Ohio, just like Adrian Broner. That's where it begins and ends. But I think that's what's going to happen. I truthfully think that Montana Love is going to get cut by Eddie Hearn because he hasn't really recaptured any of the magic from that night when he fought Baranchyk in any of his fights with Eddie Hearn. He's had 3 of them now. He's now just lost to Stevie Spark in one of the most disgraceful fashions possible. So that's probably coming for him. And, this is why you always got to stay humble, man, because he was ranking on and ragging on Richardson Hitchens for other promotions dropping him. But the way it's looking, he might get dropped his damn self soon. So it is what it is. But with that win, right, let's talk about what that win for Stevie Spark could mean big picture because, where is he at? Montana Love was ranked 6th in the IBF, right? He was 6th in the IBF. He was 13th in the WBC. So with that win, you would expect to see Stevie Spark enter the rankings, and he's probably a win or 2 away. I would say one win away from somebody in the top 15 or top 5, I should say, from getting a title shot. So, if he's 6, right? If Stevie Spark is 6, you got Hedemias Ponce, who can't fight, who doesn't have a visa. You got Matias, who's probably going to fight soon, right, for that vacant title. You got Catterall's fighting Taylor. So, really, the only matchups I see out there for Spark, if they're not going to fight Montana Love in a rematch, are either Ergashev, and Ergashev's been one of these Uzbekistan fighters that's been winning a lot of fights and on Showbox and whatnot, decent fighter. And then you got fellow Aussie Liam Parle. Now, I think Liam Parle versus Stevie Spark would be a great fight. Liam Parle just scored a big win against a fellow Aussie, Brock Jarvis. Liam Parle has been getting a lot of top sparring here in America with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Liam Parle is a very well-schooled southpaw. I think that fight makes the most sense for Stevie Spark next if they're not going to fight Montana Love. And I think it'd be a good fight. I think, the technical boxing of Liam Parle along with the sharpshooting of Liam Parle will make for a great – it would honestly kind of be like Montana Love versus Stevie Spark. Again, same style matchup. The only difference is I think Liam Parle is more composed and his emotions are a bit more in check than Montana Love is. And I don't think Liam Parle, if he gets hit with a big shot, is going to react as badly as Montana Love is because Montana Love's whole game and his whole persona is based on finesse and flash, as to where Liam Parle is just a well-schooled fighter. So I'm looking at that fight next if they're not fighting Montana Love. If they do a rematch, I think Stevie Spark could beat Montana Love even in the rematch because Montana Love just seems like mentally he's not where he needs to be, So it is what it is there. But let me go back to the comments right quick. Let's acknowledge some of the comments. You know what I'm saying? Hyro says Stevie Sparks can have a super fight with George Kambosos. Well, Kambosos would have to move up to 140 because there's no way in hell he's making 35. There's no way on God's green earth he's making 35. So if that was ever a thing, Kambosos would have to come up to 40. Hyro says Tim Tszyu is a damn 154-pounder. He was, and Stevie Spark fought him, so it shows you the kind of courage that man has. He's not afraid of nothing. Hyro also said, everything Eddie Hearn goes to shit. Before Hearn, Love was undefeated coming off a great performance. He fought Ivan on Showtime. It shows what level the zone is. Yeah, well, you just hate the zone. You hate everything that's not PBC. You hate Top Rank. You hate the zone. The only thing you like is Boxer and Ben Shalom. Let me see. Caesar says, hi, champ. Training hard, brother. I'll be able to beat when anyone. You're a friendly neighborhood champ. I got you. Shout out to you. Keep training hard and stay in shape. You know what I'm saying? It's very important. It's very, very important to stay in shape. My man, Rue 504 says, Montana Love is going to be headlining WrestleMania. Welcome to WrestleMania. Montana, you know what? We're not gonna call him Too Pretty anymore. He's Montana WrestleMania Love. Montana WrestleMania Love. We're not calling him by Too Pretty no more. Montana WrestleMania Love is the new nickname for him. So, yeah, man. Shout out to everyone here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Definitely take the time to subscribe. We're here. The Aftermath show here on Sunday night here on the East Coast. I know Sunday evening over there on the West Coast. If you're watching the playback, smash the like button. If you're watching live, smash the like button. We here, man. Hyro says, I love Golden Boy and Pro Box. Well, who doesn't love Pro Box? Pro Box is always giving you the great value for money. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, going back to the rest of of some of the main parts of the zone call yesterday, because I do want to recap some things. The story of last night, I truly believe, apart from Montana Love, apart from, Denzel Bentley, I think the story of the night, believe it or not, was Richardson Hitchens. Richardson Hitchens was a guy that talked a whole lot of shit. He was a guy that, coming in at 14-0, he had just got dropped by Mayweather Promotions, and they didn't want to, they didn't want to keep him. He couldn't get dates. He couldn't fight. But for a long time, I've heard from a lot of people in New York that basically Richardson Hitchens is this and Richardson Hitchens is that. And when push came to shove and it came time for him to perform, he fought a Puerto Rican Olympian, a good fighter, a solid guy, a worthy adversary in Yomar Alamo. And if I didn't know anything about boxing, I would have thought Yomar Alamo was a D-class fighter, because Richardson Hitchens beat the piss out of him and just kept blinding him with that jab over and over and over again. And it got to the point where his face was rearranged, and the corner had to stop it. So I would say Richardson Hitchens' career best performance has come at the best time possible. And, he was looking to fight Montana Love. He held up his end of the bargain. Unfortunately, Montana Love didn't hold up his end of the bargain. So that fight's probably not going to happen next. But that hasn't stopped Richardson Hitchens from calling out people, because now he's calling out Liam Paro. He's saying himself, Liam Paro, let's dance, buddy. And I think I think first and foremost, I really do think that Liam Paro is versus Richard Hitchens is a good fight. And I love the attitude he's taking. Okay, he just signed with Matchroom. He's been Matchroom for 5 minutes. They were trying to build a fight. The guy he was trying to fight lost. So now he turns his attention to other guys that he can realistically fight. And that's a fight where I feel like both fighters can prove a lot. Richardson Hitchens would have a chance to take the scalp of a top contender at 140. Liam Paro would have a chance to take the scalp of a top, young American fighter who there seems to be a lot of hype on. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a ton of Richardson Hitchens over the years, but I do remember his fight 2 years ago when he fought the veteran Arrhenius Mendez, and I wasn't impressed. I thought he looked like a pedestrian. But last night, what I saw was growth. I saw maturity. I saw a more educated jab. I saw a fighter whose frame is filling out more. I saw a guy that could really make some noise in this division, So, sign me up. Sign me up. Richardson Hitchens, Liam Paro. That's a good fight. Shout out to him, man. He did his thing. He went out there in front of a hostile crowd where he wasn't welcomed, with the pressures that he must have on him from being dropped by Mayweather Promotions to knowing what could happen if he loses. And he went out there and he shined like an absolute diamond. So I got the utmost respect for Richardson Hitchens. And I even went out of my way to tell him on Twitter. I told him, that's an awesome fight. You're taking the right approach, calling all the Matchroom 140-pounders out. So I'm with it, man. I'm with it. If we can't get Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchens fight, then let's get Richardson Hitchens versus Stevie Spark, the guy that beat the guy he was supposed to fight. It's only fair to him. He did what he needed to do. He looked great. And, yeah, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. Let me see. Lance Meyer says he's been on undercards recently. True School, stop playing. Yeah, but I didn't watch those fights. Lance. I don't remember which undercards he was on, but I haven't really watched Richardson Hitchens since he fought Arrhenius Mendez, and that was back in late 2020. So for me, I wasn't all that impressed with him when I saw him. I was impressed with him last night. I know he's been winning fights. I know he's been improving, because everybody that I know in boxing from New York keeps saying Africa this and Africa that. They call him Africa. Africa's going to do this and Africa's going to do that. Richardson Hitchens is extremely underrated and all this stuff. So He showed me last night, and I want to see him get that much needed step up. You know what I'm saying? My man, my guy right here, my man, amazing. He says, True School never liked Gallo Estrada. You're wrong. You're wrong. I love Gallo. First of all, Gallo Estrada is one of my favorite Mexican fighters. You just interpret it that way because I thought Romo Gonzalez beat him the first fight and the second fight, and he's going to beat him again for the third time. So that's your perception, but it's not correct. I like Gallo Estrada. I think Gallo Estrada has been one of the best Mexican fighters for the last decade plus. So, you know, I can't say I don't understand where you're coming from because then I would be being disingenuous, but it's not correct. Let me see who else we got. Kelmer, what's good, Kelmer? Good to see you, champ. Says salute to True School Sports. Salute to you, Kelmer. Hope all is well. Chase Athletic says the story of yesterday is your team, Everton, losing 3-0 to Bournemouth with that stacked midfield. I've checked out. I love Everton. I still follow them, but like I can't watch them week by week. They're just too. There's too much voluntarily mediocrity at the club. And there's too much toxicity going on at Everton. So I watch like 1 or 2 matches a month, but I this year I can't do it. My time is limited these days. My time is very valuable, and I can't. I get very pissed off when I see spineless performances. So I saw the score. They got destroyed in the FA Cup earlier in the week against Bournemouth. Then they get destroyed in the league. So they got their ass whooped twice by Bournemouth. So they might fuck around and get relegated this year. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, apart from Hitchens and Love and Spark, I think the other stories from yesterday, definitely Sneesa Estrada. Sneesa Estrada is back. She had I did have a chance to go watch the highlights and really pick apart her performance. She didn't get the knockout against the Argentinian girl Jasmine Villarreal, but the girl was tough. And Sneesa hasn't fought 328 days, but man, I got a good reminder yesterday of why I think she's the most skilled fighter, because she just does so many things at a high level. The way she's able to switch and shift from southpaw to orthodox, from orthodox to southpaw mid-combination effortlessly. And then, she's able to turn her opponents, get her head off the line, counter punch, fight going forward, fight going backwards. She has a lot of skills going on with her, and for somebody who hadn't fought in over 300 days, her timing was very good. So she shook off a little bit of ring rust she did have, and I think now she made her intentions perfectly clear with Top Rank. Give her the big fights, give her Kim Clavel, the belt holders. Definitely a really, really great all around performance from her. Miliana Vargas had a great knockout. I would say the most underrated performance from yesterday that nobody probably talked about was Thomas Matisse, the Gunner Man from Ohio, the 130-pounder. He's had a very interesting career. He took on the Puerto Rican prospect in 15-0 Christian Tapia. Matisse is in a hard luck fighter. A lot of people thought he beat Luis Melendez last year. He didn't get the decision. He had a close fight with Isaac Cruz a couple years ago, lost that fight by majority decision, lost a close fight to Will Madera. So he's been in a lot of these close fights. But yesterday in fighting Christian Tapia, he finally got over the hump, and it was a great fight. It was a fight where, he dropped him twice. It was a fight where he was able to use his size, dropped it, and then Tapia came back, kind of made him have to dig deep, and he was able to do it. So he picks up a win and wins the Continental Americas title. So that should get him some ranking positioning in the WBC, I believe, because it was a WBC belt. And yeah, I'm happy for him because he's been a hard luck fighter. He's really, really been a hard luck fighter. So shout out to the Gunner Man, Thomas Matisse. Eddie Morales says the best performance was Sonny Edwards. Yes. Oh my God. Yes, it was. I didn't include him because I was talking strictly about yesterday's cards, but he fought Friday, and you're damn right it was. Sonny Edwards fought Felix Alvarado, who, we know is former, champion at 108, moving up in weight, heavy-handed, got 30-plus knockouts. Sonny Edwards, just reeled off 6 straight rounds, easy, 6-0. was in the pocket, slipping, trading, blocking, just doing all kinds of great things, right? Making him a very inefficient fighter. Then Sonny kind of got tired. Alvarado caught him with some good shots, lost some rounds in the middle, and then caught a second win and just outboxed him towards the end. So, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is, man. Sonny Edwards, I think, had the best performance of the week. I think Sonny Edwards, I think he had the kind of fight to where now you could say he's definitely ready for Bam Rodriguez. You know, that's one of the best unification fights that can happen in boxing. And I hope it does happen. I hope he goes ahead and fights him because Sonny's got the skills to beat anybody. I think if Sonny moves up to 115, he'll have some problems. But from 112 on down, he's got a good chance to beat anybody. So whether it's Sonny Edwards versus Bam, Sonny Edwards versus Ken Shiro, there's a lot of great fights to make, you know, from 112 to 108 for Sonny Edwards. Kevin Effect, he is currently a flyweight, 112. Yes, sir. Lance wants to know, why do you keep sucking in your teeth, True School? If I'm doing it, I'm not like aware that I'm doing it. I'm just talking, and there's a lot going on in my mind when I talk about boxing, so I'm not really trying to do that. It's just something maybe I do unconsciously. I don't know. Hyro says, Philip Hrgovic is really trying to block Undisputed. Did he not watch his last fight? He needs one more fight. Usyk will dance around him. Hrgovic isn't doing anything. He's not trying to block anything. What Hrgovic is doing is he's the IBF mandatory. You know, he's been the IBF. He's been trying to become IBF mandatory for the last year or something like that. So, you know, he beat Zhang barely by the hairs of his chin. Could have went either way. I thought he won by a point. But yeah, personally, as the president of the USA American Philip Hrgovic fan club, I think he should take one more fight, get in another training camp, Ronnie Shields, tighten some things up, and then go after him. Don't go after him right away. But you know what? If the opportunity presents itself and Usyk is just there, who's going to say no to fighting for the unified heavyweight championship of the world? I know he won't. So listen, he's got plenty of amateur experience. You know, we'll see what happens with him. But obviously, Usyk is the favorite. And obviously, Usyk is going to be someone that you would favor to beat him because Usyk is a creme de la creme top shelf fighter. Bam will beat the lights out of Sonny Edwards. You're greatly mistaken. He might beat him, but he's not going to beat the lights out of him. You know, he might not be able to touch Sonny Edwards. And then he might say after the fight that Sonny Edwards just ran around the ring. Fuck Bam Rodriguez. He needs to fight guys his own age. That's how you feel, Hyro? Well, I agree. You know, no more. You know, they're good wins. Give us Sonny Edwards. After you beat Christian Gonzalez, assuming that you beat Christian Gonzalez for the WBO title, go ahead and fight Sonny Edwards and try to make it happen for the fans. You know, make it happen for the fans of boxing. You feel me? But listen, guys. Let me see. You know what? I'll give it 10 more minutes. We'll go 10 more minutes, and then I gotta get to bed because I got a long week ahead of me. I gotta go swing tomorrow. Gotta go swimming. Gotta play some basketball early in the morning. Just gotta stay in shape, man. Gotta be healthy out here. But we'll go for like 10 more minutes. Let me see. Daniel Rubin says Bam is very special. Bam is an awesome fighter. Bam pivots really well. Has really, really good angles, heavy-handed, could punch. Absolutely. I think Sonny Edwards will be a great stylistic matchup. What about Cuadras? That was a good win. Harold Calderon is in the top 10 now. Let's go. South Florida, stand up. Yes, sir. Listen, Harold Calderon, he's been here for a long time, fighting these local shows. I really do truthfully hope that he can make something of his career at the world level. He's ranked top 10 at 154. Hey, best luck to him. I'm sure he'll get a call soon if he hasn't already. Daniel Rubin says, what are your thoughts on Brandon Glanton versus David Light? And he's asking me because obviously he works pro box. And I made a video about it on the channel, but I'll give my thoughts here. I think it's a good fight. I think, you know, Brandon Glanton's a really strong fighter. Physically strong guy, you know, he's been getting some pretty good experience his last few fights. I think this is gonna be a test for him because David Light's is a polished fighter, deceptively strong. Because he had that fight down here in Hialeah against Anthony White Chocolate Martinez, and he hit him with that right hand and made him go face first. So it's a good test for him. If he's gonna go fight the Lawrence Okolie's of the world for a world title, I think he needs to be beating this level of opposition. And for David Light, it's a chance for him to announce himself on the world stage to a bigger audience. Brandon Glenn has been drumming up some hype in the boxing industry with his fights against like F.A. Apache and whatnot. So it's a really good fight. I'm looking forward to it. I would definitely say, Daniel, that it's probably one of the best fights remaining on the schedule because there's not a whole lot of boxing left this year. I mean, you have next weekend, you have Munguia fighting the Argentinian dude Correa. The 26th is a really good day for boxing. You're going to have Prograis Zepeda, Ryder versus Parker. But after that, it gets real thin, and I really do think that's probably one of the fights that people got to pay attention to that they're not paying attention to. So, yeah, good fight. Overall, really good fight. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul? Ricardo Guerrera. I don't know. This can't be Ricardo Guerrera from high school. It can't be the Ricardo I knew from high school. But anyway, thoughts on Jake Paul? I don't really have any anymore. He's here. He's selling tickets. He's putting on these big events. God bless him. I don't really have any detailed thoughts on Jake Paul. Oh shit! It is. Holy crap, Ricardo, what's good, champ? Long time, man. That's crazy. Yeah, because you're the only person I know with that name, so I had to ask. Man, been a long time. Hope all is well. I saw you were in the Army a couple years ago. I don't know what you're up to now, but I hope all is well, man. God bless. Since you're here, I'll give you my thoughts, man. Jake Paul, I think Jake Paul, I've gone back and forth. I used to hate Jake Paul because I'm a boxing purist. Then, I liked Jake Paul for a while. Now I'm kind of just indifferent. I feel like, he's good for fighters. Like a lot of fighters, he pays fighters very well on his undercards. He's definitely taking the sport serious because he's in the gym training. So he's shown that much respect for the sport. At some point within his next couple of fights, though, I would still like to see him go ahead and fight, a boxer. But he's fighting these guys that pad his record up and get his experience. Supposedly he's going to fight Andrew Tate very soon. That's going to be a spectacle. So I'll probably tune into that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. So yeah, hope all is well, man. Absolutely. Good to see you, man. It's crazy. That shit trips me out every now and then when I go live and I see people's names from high school pop up. That shit always gets me tripping. But anyway, he says, I love that you're still doing your thing, brother. Yes, man, absolutely. I enjoy what I'm doing. God has blessed me to get this far, and we still got so much further to go. So I'm going to definitely stick with it. Thank you. Daniel says, this is the best boxing channel out there. I appreciate it, man. We're going to look to make it better year by year. Every year we get better. Every year we improve on something. So thank you. Pop's Fury is bad. He's horrible. You're talking about John. Yeah, I saw John Fury. And you know what? I guess I'll just take these last 5 minutes to give my thoughts on what I did see from the Mayweather Deji card. Because I didn't watch the card, but I did go on Twitter and look through the highlights. Crazy stuff. You got Floyd Mayweather. You got Floyd Mayweather dancing, in between rounds to Ace Hood music to Hustle Hard with Lil Wayne in the ring. You got just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. It was definitely what it was advertised. It was entertainment. It was fun. It was a spectacle. I don't understand why people I saw Marcos Villegas on Twitter, the Fight Hub TV. I saw him bitching and moaning, talking about, oh well, I don't quite understand. He says, I hate covering fights like this. So I told him, if you hate covering fights like Deji versus Floyd Mayweather, don't cover them. I don't normally cover those kind of fights. I'm looking more forward to the pro box fights, that people maybe might overlook. I like those fights. I like real boxing fights, because I'm here for the real. I'm here for the real thing. I'm here for the truth. I'm not here for the facade. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then, I do think it is kind of cool to go watch the exhibitions. I did enjoy Floyd's last exhibition against the Japanese kickboxer. That shit was lit. That was amazing. But generally speaking, 99.9999% of the time, I want to watch real fights. But I know I'm not everybody's me. Daniel says we would love to see you at some events this year. Definitely. I got some things I'm working on right now, like down here in South Florida. But yeah, definitely expect me at a couple Pro Box events in 2023. Because I really do want to get to a couple of you guys are doing a great job. Like tell your dad, tell Gary Jonas, tell him, man, he's doing a great job. Tell him you guys got my full support, because like with all the fuckery going on in boxing with mismatches and stuff, it's good knowing that I could turn on the TV when Pro Box is on and I'm gonna get good fights. Like you guys have set a pretty high standard for yourself that sometimes even when you guys have like slightly above average shows, I'm like, man, it was all right, but like it's only because you guys set such a high standard. So yeah, no, shout out to you guys. Let me see. I'm not listen, man. I don't talk online. God bless him. I'm not here to talk online, man. I don't do my talking online. You know, that's not what True School does. That's not what BT does. I don't talk online. Yeah, no, Marcos Vegas loves that shit. He loves covering the spectacles. So I don't understand why he's complaining about Floyd versus Deji. I love Pro Box. That Jucan versus Benitez was great. It was, and that was a good fight because you know, Benitez was one of the Mexican fighters he comes to fight. And Jucan, you know, we love Jucan, but Jucan throws a lot of punches, and his defense is still, you know, very leaky. And I don't know if Jucan will ever reach that level again. I don't know if Jucan will. I don't think Jucan will ever touch a world title again. But you know, he was an overachiever to begin with, and you know, I like Jucan, good guy, but you know, he is what he is. Kevin Effect says, "Is Pro Box organization that brings out boatloads of Argentinians?" No, and I'm not sure who you're talking about, but no, Pro Box is the company that was founded by Gary Jonas. Gary Jonas was the former CEO of Mike Tyson Productions, I believe. And Pro Box has guys like Paulie Malignaggi helping the company out, Marquez. They're very big on like fighter development. And I really feel like fighter development is a big thing that's been missing and lacking in boxing the last few years, you know. And I think they're getting to a point where they're bringing back fighter development. Fighter development meaning that, you know, what's happening in boxing a lot because there's such little TV dates is that when a guy's a top 15 contender or he's a fringe contender, you're seeing guys have to make these massive jumps up in class, right? And then fighters don't get a chance to really develop. They don't really get a chance to hone their skills and get the proper experience to fight for the world title. So that's why you're seeing so many mismatches, because you're seeing lack of TV dates, and yeah, it's just chaotic right now in boxing. So what Pro Box is doing, and why I like Pro Box, is that they're getting guys fights at the right time. Example, Brandon Glenton started boxing later on in his life. He's in the world title picture at cruiserweight. He's not just gonna go get a fight with Lawrence Okoli. Okay, he's gonna have to fight a guy like David Light, a guy who's ranked, a guy who's solid, a guy who can pose a threat to him, but a guy that he has the skills to beat. You know, so that's why I like Pro Box. We got a killer in the building. We got a straight killer in the building. Shout out to my main man, 50 grand out there in Cleveland, Ohio. Amir Mason. Make sure you guys show your love and appreciation for Amir Mason. He is one of the Mason Five. He is one of the Mason brothers. He's one of he's Abdullah Mason's brother. He's the oldest. You know, he's a explosive, you know, devastating, fast, fun fighter to look out for, man. I'm looking forward to seeing him get some fights in soon. You know, shout out to him. What's going on, Amir? Yeah, you can watch Pro Box. All you guys gotta do to watch Pro Box is you go on Google Play. So if you've got an Android, go on Google Play. You can download it there. If you got an iPhone, you go on the iPhone App Store. You can download it there. And if you don't have any of that stuff, you can go on the internet right here. Go on the search bar. Go to ProBoxTV.com and you can sign up there. And I would highly advise it. It's $1.99. They got multiple fight cards every month, competitive fights, you know, really good fights. Pay probably the best value in anything. I can't even say the best value in sports entertainment. It's the best value in anything. Like what else can you get for $1.99 with that kind of value? And, I'm not listen. Pro Box ain't paying me to say this. I'm just saying this because I really like Pro Box that much. So, you know what I'm saying? Eddie Morales says that Brandon Glanton is his favorite cruiserweight. Yeah, I like Brandon a lot. Brandon's a interesting prospect. I know a couple guys that done sparred with him. I know my boy Lorenzo Medina sparred with him. He says good things about him. So yeah. Amir Mason, yes sir. He says True School Sports, one of the best in boxing. We appreciate you and need more like you. Hey, well, thank you, man. I'm just doing my part. I'm doing my part. God has given me a responsibility to cover the sport of boxing with integrity and class. So that's what I'm trying to do to the best of my abilities. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. Hey, while you're here, I want to ask you this. I don't know if all you guys, I don't think all you guys are pro. I know one of your brothers has to be an amateur still. So are you guys by any chance going to be at the Nationals? Will you guys be at the Nationals in Texas? Let me know. Cause I'm going to be there. Me, Sean Porter, Sean Zattel, we're all going to be at the Nationals in Texas because I'll be out there doing some work with Sean Porter and him for the app, the Amateur Boxing Champions app that's coming out. For those that don't know, I've been plugging it, but I'm gonna plug it again. Amateur Boxing Champions, Sean Porter, Sean Zattel, myself. Sean Porter had this idea to start an app to cover all of amateur boxing, and he asked me to be part of it. So I'm part of it. Me, him, Sean Zattel. Big things. I'm telling you guys, big things are in the store. So, the Nationals is going to be probably like one of our first like really big events that we're going to all be at. Let me see. Daniel says, he said, I might be at the Nationals. Will you? Damn. Okay. Well, if you're gonna be at the Nationals, I'll see you there. They're out there in Lubbock, Texas. That's like a mad random area like Lubbock, Texas. Like you could have had that in Dallas. You could have had that in San Antonio, Houston. They said no. We're gonna put it in Lubbock because I used to live in Texas for like a year or two, so I know what Lubbock is. It's random. It's a random area of Texas, but yeah, I'll definitely be out there. But guys, listen. On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because it's almost 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and I gotta get some rest and I got some things to do before I go to sleep. So listen, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys. We'll do the aftermath show again. After the Munguia? I guess Munguia. When Munguia fights next Sunday, we'll do this. We'll do this exact same type of live next Sunday. So I'll see you guys then. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Take care. Keep supporting the channel. Keep supporting boxing. Keep just doing whatever you're doing. Don't get discouraged about life. Keep pressing forward. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.